you a sub-rogue guide for patch 6.2.3 and Warlords of Draenor, and I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about sub-rogue. So, let's get started. Hey guys, let's get into stat priority. I'm not going to talk about the ones that we don't really need. I'm just going to talk about the 3 important stats that we need to worry about and our enchants for our gear and weapons. First one that we're going to have to worry about, and this is the one that we need to stack, which is Mastery. Mastery increases the damage done by our finishing moves and the effectiveness of our slice and dice. After that, we're going to be going to Versatility, and Crit Strike will be going right next to Versatility as we need to stack both. And Versatility increases our damage and healing done and decreases the damage taken by the percentage of versatility that you stack. Crit Strike is a chance for an extra effectiveness on attacks and heals. Really good use that. Stack that on most of your gear, especially set gear. Now our enchants by far for sub rogue is for your daggers. You're gonna want to have marketably and hollow. For your neck and back and rings, you're gonna want mastery. Alright guys, let's get into talents. Now today I'm going to explain each talent in an individual way, and I'm going to leave the one that we take for last. So let's get started. So at level 15 you unlock 3 talents: Night Stalker, Subterfuge, and Shadow Focus. The reason why we don't use Night Stalker is because it doesn't give us really the advantage on an opener at all, because when you attack you will come out stealth instantly. And what Night Stalker does is that it moves you 20% faster in stealth, and your abilities to deal 50% more damage while in stealth. So this is basically an assassination ability if you want to do the one shot. Moving on to Shadow Focus. Shadow Focus is basically the same thing for Night Stalker, except what it does, abilities cost 75% less energy while you are stealth. So it doesn't really supply us with what we need to open on our targets. Now what we will be taking here is Subterfuge. Now this ability was nerfed somewhat before WoD, in the pre-patch of WoD, where Subterfuge was changed to where when you use an ability in stealth, you have 3 seconds to get off whatever you need. Now the way it was back in Mist of Pandaria is that you would stay in stealth while you use this until for 3 seconds, and then stealth would break. But now stealth breaks, but you can still use the abilities for 3 seconds after. So this gives us a great chance to get great openers off and kill our target. Moving to level 30. Deadly Throw. This this talent hasn't been good in a real long time. And I mean a real long time. I mean, you could try to use it, but the reason why is because it requires 5 combo points just to get the interrupt off. Even though it doesn't say in a tooltip, but it does. So we're not going to be taking Deadly Throw because it's a waste of energy, and it's also a waste of combo points. Moving on to Nerve Strike and Combat Readiness. Now, the reason why I'm not talking about 2 and then telling you the choice is because Nerve Strike and Combat Readiness you could switch off depending on situations. So I'm going to Nerve Strike. What this does, Kidney Shot and Cheap Shot also reduce damage dealt by the target up to 50% and healing done by the target by 10% for 6 seconds after their effect fades. So basically, when you hit the target, they'll deal 50% less damage, and after that fades, 6 seconds after, the healing done by the target is reduced. This is great against casters. You could use it against melee, but I highly don't recommend it. But casters, using this on casters is great. Now, combat readiness, what this does is that it enters a state of heightened defensive awareness. Each successful weapon attack will deal 10% less damage, stacking 5 times, and it lasts 20 seconds or until not attacked with weapons for 10 seconds. So, let's say if a warrior's training you, let's just say so, and he hits you 5 times successfully, and it'll stack up 5 times, and it'll deal 50% less damage when he hits you. And this will last 20 seconds, but most warriors will be smart nowadays, so once they see that wall, they'll back off and then wait 10 seconds and then let it drop. But this is great against melee comps. Now, Nerve Strike is great against caster comps. So let's say if you're in arena, you fight double mage or casters. This is going to be the great way to take Nerve Strike because combat readiness is useless because it only works on melee. And then for combat readiness is for melee comps such as Double Warrior, DK, and all that stuff. And it's basically what you would run in a BG unless everyone in the BG is a caster, which is never going to happen. Alright guys, moving on to the 45 tier, you have Cheat Death, Leeching Poison, and Elusiveness. Now, Cheat Death is no longer getting good. It's great for you just starting off PvP as a rogue because of elusiveness is kind of hard to remind yourself to use, but once you get used to rogue, you'll start using elusiveness much more. But what Cheat Death does, a fatal attack instead reduce you to 7% of your maximum health for 3 seconds, afterward you take 85% reduced damage. Now the downside to this is that it only works every minute and a half, so it's not gonna be like you get reduced to 7% and then you take 85% less damage, and then it's gonna happen again when in like a second or so when you get healed and then get brought back down. It's not gonna work. If it was, then that would be the talent choice that we'd probably pick. Leeching Poison. It's not good for PvP, but I'll tell you what it does. It coats your weapon with a non-lethal poison that lasts for an hour, granting you 10% leech. Now there is a shiv effect to this. It instantly restores 4% of the rogue's health. Now this isn't really much of a heal. Recuperate heals for more than 4%. Now this is used to solo old content such as Cata raids or mop raids, whatever. I'm not a PvEer, but that's what it's used for. Now moving on to the best choice here is Elusiveness. Now what this does is that Fit also reduces all damage we take by 30% for 5 seconds. And Fit has no cooldown. And it's only 20 energy and you can spam it. And you'll take 50% less damage from area of effect attacks and all damage by 30%, and you can keep this up all the time. So it's really great to use, and it also lets you stay alive a lot longer. Moving to level 60, we have Cloak and Dagger, Shadow Step, and Burst of Speed. Cloak and Dagger was no longer good. Now, but back before the pre-patch came, it was good in the pre-patch of Warlords. At least I thought it was, but I enjoyed it. It was actually really fun. But right now, it's not a choice. But we also have Shadow Step and Burst of Speed. Now, there's been a long debate of these two abilities. It's really situational. You can use Shadow Step in a BG. You can use it in Arena. You can use it in World PvP, whatever you enjoy to do. But the reason why you would use Shadow Step is for quick swaps on targets. Like you can make a quick swap on a healer, you can make a quick kick or kidney or gouge or blind if you're not close enough. It's really depends on your situation. Now the reason why you would take Burst of Speed here is because this is basically a BG setup that you could do. Now, in BGs, I take Burst of Speed just because of the fact that it gives me a 70% movement increase for 4 seconds. And it also removes movement slowing effects usable while stealth. So, if you get slowed by Death Knight's Chill Blades, you can use this and it'll go away. So it's really good to use, but it's actually just your choice in your Your choice, actually, because it's your choice and this is how you want to play it. Moving on to level 75, you have Prey on the Weak, Internal Bleeding, and Dirty Tricks. What Prey on the Weak does is it disables enemies disabled with Kidney Shot, Cheap Shot, Gouge, Sap, or Blind take 10% increased damage from all sources. What Internal Bleeding does is that your Kidney Shot also causes the target to bleed for 7,000 damage per combo point over 12 seconds. So if you get 5 combo points, 7 times 5 is. Holy crap, I'm bad at math. 7 times 5. 35. So it'd be hitting for 35,000 per for 5 combo point kidney over 12 seconds. Not bad. It's a strong bleed. And you also have dirty tricks, gouge, or blind no longer cost energy and no longer break from your poisons or bleed effects. So what this will do is that when you blind or gouge someone, it will no longer break from bleed effect or poison, but it's no longer useful. We don't use it anymore. You can take internal bleeding, but I recommend everyone to take Prey on the Weak because it increases your damage by 10%, and I'll explain a little bit later in the video. At level 90, Shrunken Toss, Anticipation, Mark for Death. Shrunken Toss is no longer useful as it is a spam, even though it spams. It costs 40 energy and you can energy starve yourself really easily. Anticipation is no longer good because it doesn't provide us with the access that Mark for Death does, but you could stack up to I think 10 or 15 combo points using this. Now, the reason why you're going to take Mark for Death in this situation is because what it does is it marks the target, instantly giving you 5 combo points, 5 free combo points on the target. And if that target dies for whatever reason, it'll reset the cooldown of Mark for Death. So if you Mark for Death someone and then someone else kills them 20 seconds later, you'll get Mark for Death back and you'll have accessibility to using it again. Moving on to level 100, you have Venom Rush, Shadow Reflection, and Death from Above. Shadow Reflection is no longer really useful because even though it gives you a sustained burst, a second burst to be honest, you could double kidney someone with this, but it's just not viable enough for me to use in an arena situation or BG because people could kill it easily and a smart player will kill Shadow Reflection, which is the downside to it. Now, Venom Rush increases your maximum energy by 15%, increases your energy regeneration rate by 5% for every enemy that you have poisoned up to 3. So if you fan knives with Venom Rush, you'll get 15% energy regeneration plus the 15 energy that gives you added to your energy bar. It's really nice. It helps you. It helps you if you're not good at sustaining energy well. It will help you, so you'll have more energy to use. But the choice that we're gonna be taking here, guys, is Death from Above. It's a finishing move that is a two-parter. One, it swirls you around, attacking everyone around you within 8 yards for 16,000 damage. And then you leap backwards into the air and eviscerate your target on the way back down with a such force that deals 50% stronger effect. So basically, when you use Death from Above, you're hitting them for 50% more. So this is where the big crits come in. Alright, we're going to move on to our talents. Now these are basically a cookie cutter setup guide, and I'll go over some talents that you could trade in the place of Cheap Shot. But you're always going to want to run Glyph of Energy, Glyph of Blind. Now what these two do is that Glyph of Energy increases your energy by 20, so instead of having 100 you have 120. And what Blind does, your Blind, it makes Blind remove damage over time effects such as bleeds and poisons. And it removes it so it doesn't break it. Um, You can have Glyph of Cheap Shot, which gives you a 0.5 second increase on Cheap Shot. It's really nice. You can use Glyph of Garrote, increases the throw ratio of your Garrote silence by a second. So instead of 3, it'll be 1. You can also use Glyph of Hemorrhaging Veins. Well, what this does is it triggers your secondary vein ability with hemorrhage instead, so it allows easier access to it. You could also run Glyph of Recovery while our Recuperate is active. So let's say you're running with a healer in 2s and you have Recuperate active, you'll get 20% increased healing from the healer. You can run Glyph of Recuperate as well. It gives you additional 1% of your maximum health. So it makes it to, I think it's like a 17k heal. It'll make it to like a 20 or 22k heal. Other than that, that's pretty much for the talents that you could use. Now I'm going to talk about some abilities that you would want to keep note of while you are playing. So let's get into that. Now here are some abilities that you might want to keep note of is that in Power Fan Knives, whenever you fan knives, you now generate a combo point per target. So if you go into a group of 5 and use fan knives, you'll get 5 combo points because each target hits it gives you a combo point. Also, enhanced Shadow Dance. It gives you 2 seconds on Shadow Dance, making it 10 seconds long and more potential to burst. And now you have Enhanced Stealth, which you deal 5% damage for 6 seconds after stealth breaks. So that's a nice increase right there. You have Enhanced Vanish, which increases the cooldown of, I bet not increase, but reduces the cooldown of Vanish by 30%. It's basically 30% because it's 30 seconds off the cooldown. So now instead of having a 2-minute Vanish cooldown, it's a 1 minute and 30-second cooldown. Now here are some abilities that you might want to keep track of is Honor Among Thieves. So whenever you're in a BG and your party members crit, you'll gain a combo point. And then when you gain combo points, you gain combo points pretty fast. Another one that you want to keep in mind of is Relentless Strikes. Whenever you use a finishing move, you have 20% per combo point to restore 25 energy. So if you have 5 combo points, you restore 20%, 25 energy. You have 100% to do that. Another one is Sanguinary Vein. Now this is the main one that I want you guys to pay attention on. Is that it increases the damage of your rupture ability by 30% and causes the damage that you deal 30% additional damage to targets that are afflicted by Rupture, Garrote, or Crimson Tempest. So when you have Garrote or Rupture up on your target, Crimson Tempest is never used, even though it's on my bar down there, I don't use it. It gives you 30% extra damage. So if you kidney your target with Rupture up, that's 40% extra damage. And then you hit them for 50% extra damage with that DFA, you're going to hit them pretty hard. So the last one that I want you guys, or actually the last two that I want you guys to pay attention to, is Sinister Calling. Your total agility increases to your total agility by 15% and you gain 5% more multi-strike. I don't know why it gives you multi-strike, but this is what it says. When you multi-strike with backstab or ambush, you also twist the blade, causing all your bleed effects to advance by 2 seconds, triggering an instant tick. It's really nice. Now, the last one I wanted to tell you guys about is Energetic Recovery, which I can't find, but I'll tell you what it does. What Energetic Recovery does is that when you have Slice and Dice active, it keep your attack speed by 70%, increases that by 70%, and grant 8 energy every 2 seconds. So every 2 seconds that you have Slice and Dice active, you get 8 energy per those 2 seconds. So that's how you energy pull a sub rogue. It's really nice. Now I'm going to talk about some macros that you want to keep mind of and what you could be using as sub rogue. Now, this is my all or nothing macro. What it does is a show tooltip macro. So it'll be hashtag show tooltip. It is a cast sequence. And what it does is that with no mod, it'll attack the target with a mark for death kidney. And if I use my shift, it will use the kidney shot. And the way my other one is set up for cast sequence is that when I use control, which is my mod, it'll kidney mark for death kidney the focus target. So if I'm attacking a DPS and a healer comp, and the healer is right next to his teammate, and I want to kidney him and try to go for the kill, I can control use button 5 on my mouse and kidney shot the healer with mark for death kidney. It's really nice to have. Now my next one is going to be blind. Now what this does is that it casts blind to the focused target. It's an easier access of blind. I also have blind for my target, but it's just a normal blind. But this is for the focus target. I also have a pre-med slice and dice for stealth because that's how you open up, and I'll explain that in the next part. I also have a focus kidney macro, which is right here. So whenever I focus a target, I can use my mouse button 10 on my Razor Naga and kidney the focus target. I know it's basically having this, but it's extra access. I also have a... Okay, yeah, don't worry about this one. I don't use it anymore. I also have a gouge macro. So, no modifier, it gouges the main target, and with the modifier control, it gouges the focus target. So, it's an easy accessible gouge macro. So, as I use this, I don't have a focus right now. I'm not gonna go into it. It's actually really easy. I'll just tell you what it does. It'll gouge the focus target. I also have a kick macro, and what this does, this is my focus kick, and this is my regular kick, and that's my focus kick. So this will kick the focus target. Let's say the target's casting a heal, and I shadow step to him, and I use this on him. While I still have his other partner targeted, it'll kick him instead. This is my Shadow Dance burst, my second burst, I call it. Now what this does is that it casts Shadow Dance and Ambush. So when I hit this, it'll put me in Shadow Dance and use an ambush. It also uses that. I shouldn't be using that. I'll fix that later. But what this was before I was testing out which trinket I should have, the on use or the proc. But proc is better. This is my stealth macro. What it does is that when I use stealth, I can spam and stealth this macro and not get knocked out of it. It also targets enemy players that are stealth. This is basically my find and sap macro and stealth macro all put into one. So when I'm using this, I can just keep clicking 5 on my Razor Naga. If I find a stealthy, I can sap him out of stealth and not get knocked out of stealth myself. And that's pretty much it for the macros. I'm going to be going into some openers that I haven't macroed together. But I'm going to speak really slowly so you can understand what I'm saying. Now this is my main opener that I do all the time. Except for casters, I just add one thing to it. Now my opener will be Cheap Shot, Rupture, Mark for Death, Death from Above. Now what this does is that, oh, don't forget pre-med and slice of dice also before the Cheap Shot. Now what this is going to do is that it's going to make the target take 10% increased damage. Rupture is going to give you that 30% damage increase, so 40% damage right there. plus an extra 50% coming from the death from above. And if you're in a BG, this is not going to work in arenas. You can use a Mecha Blast Rocket, and it'll get them to at least half health, depending on what you're fighting. Now, when it comes to what you do after that, you can Shadow Dance. That's what I usually do. I Shadow Dance, hit 2 ambushes, and then Kidney, and then another 2 ambushes and Eviscerate, and that usually kills the target. Now, going on to a caster opener, this is the only ones that I would really use. You can test out different openers on your own. Just read what each ability does, and I bet you can come out with a great opener. But here's my caster one. Pre-Med Slice and Dice. Garrote, Cheap Shot. Rupture, Mark for Death, Death from Above. Shadow Dance. Ambush, Ambush, Kidney. Ambush, Ambush, Eviscerate. Now, if your target's not dead, then you're going to have to keep on them. But those are the only 2 openers that I really use. So, if you have any better openers, just throw them down in the comment section below. Now, this is it for my sub-rogue guide, and I thank you all for watching it. And if you liked the video, hit it up with a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. And I'll bring you more rogue content for World of Warcraft. This is Dalaran, signing off.